Hi there again, Linda from Waking You. So this week's Meal on a Budget is all about breakfast. We all are rushed in the morning, getting off to work, getting the kids out the door, but we all seem to have time to do the drive-through at the fast food places. So it got me wondering why people do fast food breakfasts. And I asked the question. I went online and talked to a bunch of people, and it's either because it's cheap, which from the video last week, we know fast food isn't so much cheap, or it is quick. If there's 20 people in front of you in line, as there was the other day when we drove past, that could be a half an hour wait. How is that quicker when you can hop in the shower, toss something in the microwave before you go in, it's ready when you come out? So today I'm going to show you how to do hash browns, which if you do fast food, can be almost $3 for one single hash brown patty, and you don't know exactly what's in those. And egg bites, bacon and cheese egg bites, which if you go to one of the coffee shops can be close to $6. So I can show you how to make a dozen bacon and cheese egg bites, as well as 12 hash brown cups I spent $15.87, but that's going to give us what the recipes I just stated, as well as half those ingredients will be left over for a recipe for next week. So join us in a minute and I'll show you how to get these started. And we're back. So like I said, we're doing bacon and cheese egg bites. Bacon can tend to be expensive, $8 a pound, depending on where you purchase it and when. I use an app called the Flip app, and I'll put it in the comments below so that you can see what it is, but it allows you to search for the best prices in certain ingredients. I was able to find a package of bacon for $3.99 at our local drugstore. So that's the bacon that I'm using today. So because I want to be doing other things, shredding the cheese and the potatoes for the hash browns and the bites, I'm going to do the bacon in the oven today. So I've laid out some parchment paper. I'm laying the bacon out in strips. I've got the oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm just going to lay this out so it's ready to go. 400 degrees, 20 to 25 minutes in the oven. So while we're doing that and it's cooking, we will shred the cheese and the potatoes for the hash browns. But because we want to use this remaining half a pound of bacon for next week, I've got a tip for you for freezing bacon. I've got another tray of parchment paper, and if you just roll your bacon into little roulades like that, it takes up a lot less space. We will roll the bacon onto the parchment paper, freeze it like this until it's solid, then put it into a freezer bag. And then that will make it nice and ready for us for when we use our leftovers next week. So again, that's $3.99 that we spent on this bacon. We're using it for the bacon, egg, and cheese egg bites today. And we will have half a pound of bacon to utilize next week with the rest of our leftovers. Join us in a few minutes when we start the potatoes and the cheese. So the kitchen's starting to smell really good from the bacon that's in the oven, and I put the other tray of bacon in the freezer. So now we're going to do the boring, tedious part. It's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes just to shred the potatoes and the cheese. So the potatoes, again, just like last week, I went to a local farm market because it's $1.75 a pound. So for these potatoes that I'm going to use today was $3.10. I did hear on the radio today that there was a deal at our local store, a 10-pound bag for $2.77. Personally, 10 pounds of potatoes in my house is going to go really moldy really fast. So I don't buy the big bags. But if you use potatoes on a regular basis, or you would like some ideas on how to use those to do some freezer cooking, do a full day of prep, use potatoes in a lot of different recipes, put them in your freezer for the month, we can do that in the video for potentially in December. But for now, for me, it just made more sense to buy just the potatoes I needed for the hash browns. $3.10 for those. I got a block of cheddar cheese for $4.99. It was the most expensive item on the shopping this week. But again, I'm only going to use half of that cheese for these bacon and cheese egg bites. So I'm going to get these shredded up, and then we're going to get the potatoes ready to go in the oven. See you in just a minute. And we're back. So the bacon is now ready. I have shredded the cheese and the potatoes. I did a fine grind on the cheese, and I did a more coarse on the potatoes. If I was cooking in a much bigger batch, I would have used my food processor, but a hand grater was fine. I did use a German butter potato. They're a little bit softer potato. I find that they're really good. So now we're going to get the potatoes ready to go in the tin. The only thing that we need to do is to use some paper towel and gently squeeze out some of the excess moisture from the potatoes. That way it doesn't get waterlogged. It doesn't have to dry out before it gets cooked in the oven. So I will dry these out. I'll get the pans prepped and show you what that looks like. And again, the oven remains at 400 degrees for the hash browns. And we're back. So I have shredded the potatoes. I found some onion in my fridge, so I've decided to put some of that in there. Not a lot, because it does add moisture. We just put this in paper towel and wrung it out. But if you have a salad spinner, you can use that to dry your potatoes out. It's a great invention. I'm just putting a handful of potato into each of the tins. I have used some oil and paper towel to oil my tins rather than cooking spray. Cooking spray is chemicals, probably. I like to know what's going into my food and what I'm preparing my food in. So I'm just going to layer these potatoes in. They can be as full as you would like them to be. This is for you, for your breakfast, whatever you would like to do. I did put salt and pepper in with the potatoes and the onion, so there's a little bit of extra flavor. Again, none of this is required. You could also put a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese if you wanted to. You could also do a baked egg in this instead of just a hash brown. So if you only laid a small layer of potato in the bottom so that you had room, you could just break an egg into the top and bake it just as you are doing these hash browns. But I'm making them as just a hash brown to go with our bacon and egg bites. So we are going to fill these as much as we can. And we are using the full potato. So that was $3.10 for those 3 potatoes. Again, you could get them cheaper if you bought a 10-pound bag, but I didn't need 10 pounds of potatoes, so I don't want to have to waste that food. So these egg bites are ready, or hash browns are ready to go. Getting ahead of myself here. I'm all excited for the eggs. So I've got the 12 muffin tins ready with our hash browns. So I'm going to put these in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. Watch them, check when they're brown, and then they're ready to go. We'll be back in a little bit to start assembling the bacon and cheese egg bites. And we're ready. We're on to the part I'm excited about. I love these bacon and cheese egg bites. So what I've done is I've got 5 eggs in this bowl. I break them into a smaller bowl to begin with and move them into the large bowl one at a time. Just because if I'm going to chase an eggshell around a bowl, I'd rather chase it around 1 egg than 6. So for this recipe, we only need 6 eggs. So we will have 6 eggs left for our leftover video that we are doing next week. So these eggs were $3.79. I know eggs can be very expensive at the store. They're running about $6 for a dozen here in town. So again, the Flip app showed me that the same store where I got the bacon, I was able to get the eggs for $3.79. So I just added a little bit of salt and pepper into my eggs. I like garlic powder. Again, you don't need to add it. It's just something of personal preference. Then you just whisk it up. I find that the egg bites are a little dense, a little solid when you make them without any milk. So I just usually add just a little touch of milk. I always have milk in the fridge. I like a little bit of cereal in the morning to start my day. But just a little bit of milk, not a lot. You don't want to have as much as you would if you were doing a scrambled egg, but it just gives it a little bit of a fluff, a little bit softer texture when you are eating them after you put them in the microwave for 30 seconds in the morning when you're ready to eat them. So that's ready. So now we are going to assemble them. So we've got our bacon. If you wanted to put spinach, asparagus, red peppers, anything like that, or even the onions that I had chopped, you'd want to cook them out a little bit because you don't want raw food in your egg bites because the egg bites don't take that long to cook. So you just want to fry them up. Gets rid of a lot of that moisture as well. So we're just going to put our bacon into the bottom of our pan. And again, this recipe is for 12 egg bites, 6 eggs, 12 egg bites. We will put our bacon into the bottom. I put a couple of really full muffin tins of bacon. So we're just going to take a couple pieces from that, a couple pieces from that one. So we have bacon in all of them. Again, if we had fried up some vegetables to put in here as well, then we will put the cheese. I'm going to use the hand that wasn't on the bacon, so if I end up freezing some of the shredded cheese later, I don't have bacon in it. So a little bit of cheese, or a lot of cheese, because there's no such thing as too much, right? The dog would end up wanting some of this bacon and the cheese if I let him have it. So whatever we don't use, we're going to put into a freezer bag and put it into the freezer for you. So we've got our cheese in every one of our egg bites. And again, I use the small shred of the cheese just because it gives me a little bit more volume in our egg bites. But whatever your preference is, if you don't have a fine cheese grater, do whatever you got. Now we're going to take our beaten up eggs and spoon it or pour it. You know what? Let's do this. I'm a lazy cook. Pour it in. And we're going to fill all 12 of these, get them into the oven. I did lower the oven to 325. Took the hash browns out, so those are ready, and I will show you what this all looks like when we put it together in just a few minutes. Well, everything is now out of the oven. I just took the egg bites out a minute ago, so I'm just letting them cool a bit. So I'm taking the frozen bacon that I showed you how to do earlier, and I'm just placing it into a resealable freezer bag so I can get those back into the freezer, and they'll be available for leftovers if I want to make a soup or whatever recipe I do for next week. So, as I said, we've spent $15.87. We have 12 bacon and cheese egg bites. We have 12 hash browns. We still have half a dozen eggs, a half a block of cheese, and a little bit of the shredded. So, a lot cheaper, and it'll actually be a lot more convenient than waiting in the drive-thru for a $2.69 hash brown or a $5.65 order of bacon and cheese egg bites. I will be back in a while once these have cooled down to show you how I would put them in the freezer so that they're ready for a 30-second microwave when you hop in the shower in the morning. Can't get much faster than that. And we're back. We are just bagging up our frozen bacon and cheese egg bites as well as our hash brown that we made earlier. So I have written the items on the bag. So bacon and cheese egg bites with potato, October 27th. So we have the date on it as well. So you know how long they've been in the freezer. These will keep for about 3 months. They're not going to last that long. If I was just doing them for myself, I'd probably only do one egg bite and one hash brown. But most people would probably do 2. So a cost comparison for these items, I did spend $15.87 for all 12 egg bites, the 12 hash browns, plus we have the leftover half pound of bacon, the leftover half block of cheese, and half a dozen eggs. So I should be calculating this based on half of what I spent, but even if I take the full $15.87 and split it between the 6 bags of 2 egg bites and 2 hash browns that we're making here, that's $2.64 per serving. A hash brown at the local fast food restaurant, just for the hash brown, the one flat potato and who knows what patty that you buy is $2.69. Yeah, it took me 45 minutes or so to make all of these today. But now I have 6 breakfasts that will take 45 seconds at most. And that's if you pull these out of the freezer as you're hopping in the shower. If you take them out the night before, that's 30 seconds that you need to microwave them for. I'm not sure how $2.64 for 2 egg bites and 2 hash brown cups is more expensive than $2.69 for one that you buy at a fast food restaurant. I like knowing what's in my food. I also like knowing how much money I'm spending, and I'm in control of that. So I have now saved 6 trips to the drive-thru. I have saved a lot of time, quick and easy, and they're very tasty. Again, you can adjust the ingredients for the potato nests. You can adjust the ingredients in your egg bites, suit your taste. These are ready to go. I'll put them in the freezer, pull them out either the night before or the morning of, and have a nutritious, healthy, and very inexpensive meal. Next week, we are going to do the leftover video of the bacon, eggs, and cheese from this, as well as the pork that was left over from last week. Join us then.